Okay. And Chair, do you mind just reading the call to order into the record one more time?
Absolutely. Call to order the Beverage Licensing Authority hearing for January 15th, 2025 at 3 p.m.
Thank you so much. We're going to start with the rules of decorum here. The city has engaged with community members to co-create a vision for productive, meaningful, and inclusive civic conversations. This vision supports physical and emotional safety for community members, staff, and board and commission members, as well as democracy for people of all ages, identities, lived experiences, and political perspectives. More about this vision and the project community engagement process can be found on our website. The following are examples of rules of decorum found in the Boulder Revised Code and other guidelines that support this vision. These will be upheld during this meeting. All remarks and testimony shall be limited to matters related to city business. No participant shall make threats or use other forms of intimidation against any person. Obscenity, racial epithets, and other speech and behavior that disrupts or otherwise impedes the ability to conduct the meeting are prohibited. Participants are required to sign up to speak using the name they are commonly known by, and individuals must display their whole name before being allowed to speak online. Currently, only audio testimony is permitted online, and the chat function, or in this case, the Q&A function, should only be used for technical questions to staff, and it should not be used for public comment. All right. Next, I will do the roll call, if you'll just speak your presence aloud. Chair Matt Califano.
Chair Califano present.
Thank you. Member Absalom.
Member Absalom present.
Thank you. Vice Chair Carr will be here in about 30 minutes. Member Haggerty.
Member Haggerty present.
Thank you. And Member Roberts.
Member Roberts present.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna suggest that we move the approval of the minutes to agenda item 10 at the end of the hearing so that Member Carr can make a vote on that because there won't be quorum unless Member Carr is here. So I will go ahead and move to hearing agenda issues from the licensing clerk. I have one thing to go over with you, and we can talk about it more when we get there, but city licensing is going to request a continuance on agenda item 7, because petitioning was not able to be submitted in time for the packet, and there was a few other application documents that were missing on that one. So we'll be asking for a continuance on that, and that's the only agenda issue I have for now. So I will move to agenda item 2, which is matters from Boulder Police Department, and Officer Rec is here.
Good afternoon, Officer Rec, Boulder PD. I don't have a ton this month, which is probably a good thing. The students were gone, so we didn't get a ton of calls. Just to update with our fake IDs, close to 1,800. Oops, sorry, my camera's not focusing very well. Almost 1,800 IDs for last year, but they are still coming in. We've had 9 so far this year. But what is starting to become pretty alarming is that I think I had my youngest individual with a fake ID, and that individual was 16 and used it multiple times. So we're gonna have to get a handle on that. And so we're trying to come up with some creative ways on how that's going to look. I think one of the things I'd really like to find out is who the individuals are who are creating and making these IDs. See if we can figure out a way to go after that. That's probably going to be way bigger than me, but at least if we can get an idea of where they're getting them from, that might be a little bit of a start. But that to me was very alarming. And that individual did end up in the hospital. So just giving you guys a heads up that it's becoming younger and younger and more alarming. So very scary to me. And I think that is about all I have. Any questions for me?
Are there any questions from the board?
Thank you.
Not seeing any. All right. Well, thank you again for all that you do, Officer Rick.
Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item 3, matters from Responsible Association of Retailers. And Mandy, there's a partners in the attendees. Do you think that could be?
That would be Heather. Yeah, if you could admit her. She is the director of Olive Partners, and I would just like her to address this group, just so you hear everything from her. and can ask both of us any questions that anybody has.
No problem. She's coming in and I will hand it over to you guys.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for adding me. My name is Heather Veskard. I'm the director of the Partners Organization, which houses the RAR program, serving Boulder County, Larimer County, and Northern Weld County. As you all may have learned at the last BLA meeting, it was, I think, the day before, maybe, Nathan Dewey, our RAR director, is no longer an employee with the Partners Organization. Mandy Voles, who also is a part of the Responsible Association of Retailers, but has been focused on Larimer County, is working with me to kind of meet with all of the folks who are involved in Boulder, understand the RAR work that was happening in Boulder and the specific relationships there in Boulder. So I've been emailing with lots of different people and having different meetings to try and get up to speed on the Boulder activities. I believe that Mandy gave a little bit of an update at the last meeting, but wanted to reiterate my understanding of the current situation with RAR in Boulder, and share with you all what we understand we're able to do as the Responsible Association of Retailers and what we cannot do. And I believe that Mandy can help me fill in blanks if I miss things, and some of you can probably help me fill in blanks, quite honestly. But also, I think that John Valley is here somewhere in the, maybe listening in on this. I know he has some insight as well. But long story short, the state of Colorado has now the Responsible Vendor Trainer certification. That is a process that you have to apply for as a trainer in the substance retailer industry. Mandy submitted an application to be certified as a trainer back in July. There have been multiple communications to the state since then. We have been told that they are backlogged, they are short-staffed, they will get to it when they get to it, but that currently our application is pending. My understanding is that we're not alone in that there are lots of trainers out there who have submitted applications and are waiting on that certification. But that certification is now required in order for us to get any tests, whether those be TIPS tests or ServSafe tests, actually graded and certification certificates given to the employees who train with us. So just maybe to over clarify, Mandy is certified through the TIPS organization and through the ServSafe organization as a trainer. She's done all of the things she needs to do. What we don't have is the certification from the state as a responsible vendor trainer. My understanding is that the BLA is requiring that certification for any employees of retailer establishments who are being trained. They have to have those certificates, and I understand that. Wanted to let you all know that we currently can't provide those certificates, not for lack of trying, and we know members need them. I can say that we're able to train people and do it effectively and using the material that is required by TIPS and ServSafe, but we're kind of handcuffed right now until we have certification from the state to be able to provide certificates. We are getting emails from members about that. I know you all have probably some considerations there as well to decide how you feel about that and what you'd like us to do moving forward, but I'd like to partner with you all on that to serve the members to the best of my ability. So what questions can I answer? What holes, what things did I miss?
I highly doubt this, but did they give you the state LED? Did they give you any sort of a timeline?
No, they did not.
Are there any other questions?
Could I ask a question of you all just to help in my understanding as I continue to get up to speed on this? What we have heard from our Larimer County folks is that the state vendor certification, giving certificates to employees who are trained by somebody who's able to train TIPS and ServSafe, is not required in Larimer County. They don't seem to care so much about that, but my understanding is that in Boulder County, it is required. I still need clarification on Weld County but can you help me understand who makes that decision? Is it a county individual decision, or do you think Larimer County is confused and they have to require it, or any comments on that can help me, you can help me understand?
I guess I would defer to Caitlin on this, but we're only speaking for the city right now, not
Okay.
necessarily the county.
Okay.
But Caitlin, do you know about that requirement?
Can you, really quick, can you repeat your question so I fully understand?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so there is a responsible vendor trainer certification that is required for us to be able to submit test results to the state from TIPS and ServSafe trainings, and for the people who we train to receive certificates.
Mhm.
My understanding is that that is required by you all in Boulder, that folks have those certificates. We're hearing that in Larimer County, that is not required. It's preferred, but it is not required. And I'm wondering who makes that call. Is it a county decision?
So the requirement for training is in the BLA rules of procedure
Okay,
for the city of Boulder. So that's
Okay.
where that requirement is coming
that's
from.
where that decision was made.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And the BLA, typically their process is to make changes to that or additions or whatever at their retreat, which happens after board recruitment in the spring. So that's usually in like the summer that they can
Okay.
make those changes.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yes.
So I guess with that information, and in the midst of this transition, what I would ask you all to consider is we would love to be able to give you all a list of folks who are certified by the state as state vendor approved people, and we don't have that. We're actually not aware of anybody who has achieved that certification yet. We also would love for retailers to be responsibly trained, and I do believe we have a trainer in Mandy who can do that very well, who is certified by the TIPS organization and ServSafe. Is there a process in which exception can be made for X period of time? Are there alternative solutions so that when members are emailing asking for training, we can try and work with them on that? So I guess that's what I would wonder if you could consider.
I think one of the biggest issues we face with this now is our timing requirement for this training to be completed, which is 60 days.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if potentially there's some sort of emergency order we could put in place right now where we suspend that for, say, 3 months or a set amount of time, just given the current situation. Because I know this isn't just Boulder County that this is affecting several people across the state. So it's a state thing and we really have no control on it. So I'm wondering if there is any potential for a kind of an emergency suspension of our rules in that case.
Meaning employees would just put off being trained until that there were people that were certified,
Well,
or
like
that they would be
Like a
trained.
suspension of the BLA rules requiring that 60-day
Right.
kind of a thing, I think is what he's getting at there. And I think that we kind of, not we, but it was a little bit discussed last time about the potential of something like that. And it sounded like there needed to be another meeting, or some sort of something needed to happen in order for that to happen. If it was decided that that was how we wanted to proceed. And so we're just looking for guidance on, we want to continue helping and we are trying so hard to continue helping. And we're just running into this blockade. And I don't, with the state arguing with the city seems kind of weird. And we don't know how to proceed, and we don't want the people that we work with to get in trouble because they are trying. I can give people that are members that I want to get my people trained, but I'm telling them I officially cannot. I can submit the test that they give me to the TIPS or the ServSafe organizations, and I just get an email back that says you're not officially a Colorado certified trainer. So that's how it actually plays out. So I can submit the test, but then they're lost. So these people are essentially paying for something and then they don't get a certification because I can't do anything about it. I'm at a hold. And so we're looking to you all to figure out, how do we deal with that? The state is blocking us right now.
This is Member Absalom speaking. Thank you. I know you're going through a transition right now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, my understanding around the state rules that's happening is that there's a specific training going around Colorado rules and also federal and state laws that the state LED is requiring trainers, specific trainers, to go through the Colorado rules. And the list on the LED website is a list of actual trainers, people who are trained to do so.
Yeah, there's about 10.
Which I think obviously along the guidelines of the BLA rules, we have always done 60 days and we always wanted people to do in-person training.
Right.
Because that, and correct me if I'm wrong, in Larimer County, you have a record of not having any compliance failures. So, well, I've heard that it's way different than our jurisdiction here in Boulder.
Okay.
Because Boulder is a wildly different jurisdiction in terms of the complexity of where we are and there's so many licenses lined up. So my question, I guess, to you is that if we were to make an emergency change, like Chair Califano had mentioned, which I agree with, we need to amend the rules for the moment to make sure that operators can train people. What is the ask here? What can you be presented with? You are a trainer, right? Are you on the state LED list?
No. I am
So
trying to get on the LED
you
list.
are
And
in the
they will not
process of
add
trying
me
to get
because
That's
they
the
won't
whole
look at
issue.
my application yet.
right on. So yeah, and
So that's the issue.
I know that obviously TIFs and ServiceSafe are having problems with reaching out to clients with certifications once the testing goes through.
Sure.
And like you said, John Ballier, you said is going to speak here today. I think that's someone you could really reach out to understand this process. That being said, I would side with Chair Califano saying we can talk about how the rules can work for operators right now.
Yeah.
The LED is giving you a list of people who actually can train, and that's a very short list, and that's not viable for our community. So I'd actually open that up to other board members to try to understand what we would be willing to think about looking at the BLA rules around timing and approved training vendors.
And I don't want to, I'm sorry to interrupt. I would love to hear from others as well. Does John happen to be in the
Thank
waiting
you.
queue?
Yeah, I was just about to inform the board. So Mr. Ballier does have his hand raised.
Great.
It would be up to the board if they would like me to. I can either allow him to come into the meeting as a panelist and have him turn his camera on and he be part of the RAR discussion, or however you guys want to see fit, or I can have him do public comment later, whatever you guys.
I'd make a motion to have John be a part of this discussion, personally, if that's a motionable thing.
I don't think it needs a motion. I think just whatever you guys decide.
I personally think
we would
John would be a
appreciate
valuable
to hear from him as well right now. I think that would just, it's appropriate right now.
He and I are in a phone tag game, and I think we're on the same page, but I don't want to speak for him. So that would be wonderful.
Great. If the rest of the board is cool with that, I will go. Okay, great. Mr. Bally, I'm promoting you to panelist, so you should be able to turn your camera on and unmute yourself and all that good stuff. Perfect.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. I'm not exactly sure how to turn on the camera, but I think you only need to hear me. So hi, everybody. My name is John Balliot. I've been a responsible vendor trainer for 17 going on 18 years. I've trained over 50,000 individuals in the state of Colorado. So we're on the same page, I think, with what Heather's talking about. I'm running into the same roadblocks. It's just waiting to get it approved. I have a line by line comparison for to become a responsible vendor trainer. It's based off of Colorado. I think it's 47605. I'm just waiting, and I'm in the same boat they am to just get that final approval. In the meantime, I'm still just teaching ServiceSafe as is. What the state is actually looking for, what the communication, direct communication with the person approving these has told me is that what they were running into is nobody was actually teaching Colorado law. They were just teaching these national programs. For some reason, they don't want to be able to teach the national programs, which cover all the core material, and just have a Colorado supplement. They do indeed, as Mike just said, want to have individual trainers approved as individual trainers with whatever criteria they submit. There's a couple things to that. Anybody could do whatever they want as long as they're covering the Colorado material. The state may or may not approve them. The benefit of using the national programs is all that core information is proven. It was put into place, approved by doctors, all the effects of alcohol, those things that you teach. I think the state is reevaluating that, and they may allow eventually for there to be a Colorado supplement, but they're not there, and they do have this backlog of individual trainers they are approving. So we're in the same boat with that. I am the same as the RAR. But if you look at the state approved list as it stands today, there are 11 people. I went through this earlier so I could present this to you guys today. You have 2 that are out of state that are only approved for virtual. One's in South Dakota, one's in Florida. I don't know how effective a training that is. 3 of them are city or police department specific. One is in Frederick, one is in Greeley, one is in Vail. I don't see Boulder benefiting from that. You have 1 license specific who owns a larger liquor store and is simply doing in-store trainings, has no desire to teach the public or work with any restaurants, nor do they have any benefit of training restaurants. They are a liquor store. One of these people, so that leaves you with 5 left people. One is in Newcastle, one is in Fraser, one is in Colorado Springs, and then you have the representative from the Colorado Restaurant Association teaching Serve Safe, which I'll come back to in a second, and one in Johnstown. That is the extent of your approved trainers as we speak. So, and the thing about the Colorado restaurant person, her name is Maureen McNair. She's a colleague and a friend. She was supposed to be the guinea pig for Serve Safe. She went through applying all of the Serve Safe core criteria and material, and then she had a Colorado supplement. She was approved, but now that they're looking at this because they don't want to approve these nationally recognized programs, she's under review, and they're probably going to pull it, as I understand it, speaking with the state. So you're down to these 11 trainers, 5 of which are even remotely viable to do these trainings for every single of, whatever you guys are up to now, 280 licensees in the city of Boulder. So, it's a real detriment. It puts extreme limits on what the licensee's ability to do anything. So my recommendation, I think maybe in the short term, I'm agreeing with this concept of maybe giving an emergency situation to change the rules. Or you guys could look at certifying programs yourself. I understand it's in the bylaws that you follow the state's requirements, but you have no idea how what we would call a fly-by-night trainer just doing whatever they want. These people might not be getting that approved core information that they need, that the national providers provide. The state really wants to have this state material being taught. I think that's easily done with a supplement. That's why I've gone ahead and gone through their process to be approved as an RVT trainer as well. But I'm in the same boat. Again, I'm waiting for this to happen, but there's no way these 5 trainers in Newcastle, Fraser, Colorado Springs, Johnstown, and Denver are going to take care of your licensees. And that's the simple fact of the matter. And unless you guys change your rules or you find some kind of middle ground with the state, this is only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. So that's kind of my 2 cents in a short synopsis. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have. So.
Thank you, John, for coming. This is Member Absalom. I just wanted to defer to Chair Califano and Caitlin about what are the steps around a emergency change in rules for the moment.
I will actually defer to Roberto on that one.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. So when it comes to emergency issues, our BLA rules of procedure contemplate that you can take emergency action when you believe that there are grounds or reasonable grounds to believe that it is an issue of public health, safety, or welfare. So you would need to make that finding in this situation. If not, then two things are required: notice and an opportunity to be heard. So somebody can make the motion, put it on the next hearing to see if there is any opposition. So that the opportunity to be heard to see if there's any opposition to the abatement of that time period. Then you can vote on it.
I would say, this is Chair Califano, and I would say that I could see an argument for public safety being that they're not getting these trainings that, you know, facilitate in the safe and responsible service of alcohol. So I could see that as a public safety concern.
I would 100% agree with that. That's what I was thinking. Just that these people are now being employed and not getting any training potentially because can't certify them. So why should I train them? That's crazy, right? So essentially what we can do is we can train them, and I can say I am certified, and maybe John and other people can say I am certified by these entities to train these people. However, Colorado has not certified me, but maybe this will suffice for the emergency situation. You know, can we offer just a letter that says I did certify these people myself? I don't know if that's an option.
So Chair Califano, once you guys start discussing this, so I provided you some information. Once you start discussing this, you cannot re-engage with the public. So you can certainly consider and make that determination if you, as the authority, believes it falls under that. And that's certainly your prerogative. Just make sure that you're not taking any additional information at this time.
Okay, so this will be just closed to the 5 board members right now.
Correct.
How does the rest of the board feel about the public safety concern that I mentioned with regards to training?
I'm sorry
This
for
is
the
Beverage.
connection.
I'll just start the discussion because I kind of got into it, but I 100% agree with Chair Califano's public safety concern. It makes total sense. And I understand, I would like to hear that training was done by a trusted trainer based on what we know about trainers in our community, because this is our community. The state of Colorado is obviously backlogging all these people who are trying to become trainers. I think it's our obligation to our community to look into how we can quantify training in a sense, right, with trainers that we trust as a group and say, hey, for an emergency rule, right now we make a decision to say we can accept certain trainings on on the word of people who are making these actual classes happen because they need to happen. That's a huge public safety concern to me.
Does
That's
that
my
open the door for like legal action, right? Somebody has an accident, then they can like trace it back and be like, well, this person wasn't, and like go down that road. Like I would want to protect
I think
Mandy.
Roberta could speak to that, but I don't believe that there's any like legal culpability around training like that in terms of criminal law.
I
No,
appreciate that
again,
concern, but I
ma'am,
also have not heard of anything
ma'am,
like that.
Mandy,
Ma'am,
you can't
ma'am.
talk anymore. You can't speak.
So, Member Roberts, to your concern, anybody can file a lawsuit for any reason, a civil lawsuit, and allege that there was not sufficient training. Certainly a defense that there wasn't available training is there. But again, somebody overserves and it's a close call, there can always be a lawsuit. Whether there's liability is a totally different situation.
I see. Thank you.
This is Member Haggerty. Yeah, I kind of in agreement with the earlier statements from the board. It does seem like it is a a public health issue. And to Mike's point earlier too about, you know, really focusing on this affecting our community. And I think that's what the board's here for, is the city of Boulder and the community within it. So I think we do really have a responsibility here to kind of think what can we do to you know, really engage, and you know, what kind of remedy can we make available.
I like the idea of Chair Califano's proposal of it like a time boxed exception, like the 3-month or something. That way we put an expiration date, and so we make sure to revisit it and make sure things are moving and check in and see how that training is going. Should we approve something in the interim?
Remember, Absalom, I don't want to speak for you, but was I hearing you correctly in that you were potentially looking at the board under the emergency order allowing for like previously trained trainers for tips or serve safe to still be accepted at this time, even though the state has not certified them?
Well, I'm unsure about how we can rely on the state in terms of what we're dealing with, right? In terms of what's approved by the state at this point. So I wasn't you can speak for me because you're way smarter than me anyway, but that being said, I was that it's it's hard for us to not allow operators to do training and then look at the state listed approval list of how many people there are. And as we can hear from trainers here in this meeting, it's difficult to get on that list. And um, I just, my concern is for the community, for operators to be able to operate, and us as an authority to do our job to ensure operators operating responsibly. So I guess my suggestion wasn't around the fact that other people can do. I think that there should be a process in this emergency order of saying, hey, yes, prove to the board, like when a licensee comes before us, they prove that the trainer has whatever credentials they have as a trainer, right? So we can go through it case by case, because right now we cannot base our decisions on what's going on with the state, because it's just too difficult for, as you can see, trainers here on this call, they can't even get on a list. So that is handcuffing our community from having viable businesses. It's also handcuffing our community from understanding responsible alcohol. We have to make sure that policies are in place, that we can make sure that when someone presents to the board, they say their credentials around training for this emergency period. And then the rules can go back to the rules once we understand. But right now, case by case, we should look at trainers and licensed establishments and go case by case is my suggestion. I don't have like an actual metric for this. I don't. I have no idea how to do this. It's a unique set of circumstances. Our rules state one thing, but the rules don't apply right now in this situation. So that's why I was asking for a little bit more insight from the board here and members of the authority to kind of go on this idea of like, we can go and say, hey, I want to see your credentials as a trainer. Show us the records of training happening with this licensee, specific case by case, until we can figure out what's happening and make the rules match what is best for our community.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at it from a standpoint of the actual, you know, licensee holders, and that they're getting these new hires, but if they're not getting the training, then they can't serve alcohol, and it kind of I don't want to say devalues, but they're not able to do what the full scope of their job might entail. And so in that, and not to hurt the establishments for any issues that the state's having with backlogging, I agree with you in that, you know, these were previously certified trainers, and the state made a rule change that it is impeding their ability to train these individuals. So if we were accepting it before, I think temporarily in this emergency order, we could accept that training now. However, I don't. Oh,
I
I was
see what
just
you're
gonna
getting at.
say,
I'm sorry about that. I didn't understand what you were getting at earlier, but now I do understand what you're getting at.
yeah, so that they could, because I want these establishments to still be able to use their license and have their employees serve alcohol, but I don't want them doing it without any training. And that's the public safety, is that, you know, if we have these trainers and they can't do it anymore and these individuals aren't getting that proper training, I wouldn't want them serving, but at the same time that impedes that establishment. So that's something that I would consider putting in the emergency order, but I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
Member Haggerty, no, I'm certainly in favor of doing something like that. Absolutely.
All right, so I guess I'll make a motion for an emergency health or an emergency order based on public safety for training and service of alcohol for a 3-month suspension of our rules regarding the training that the state has now mandated with certified trainers, and allowing these previously certified trainers to still provide this training to new licensees in this 3-month time period.
This is Member Absalom. I'd like to amend that motion if I could and say, and I'll go to Roberto on this, just it doesn't necessarily need to be people who have already been approved. I would like to just see trainers explain to us with their type of training. If we have to see a licensee before our authority, I would like to see the trainer and have them present what they do. Because right now, if we're suspending the rules around approved trainings, I'd like to just speak to the trainers, would be my suggestion. And that would give you not only the people who have been previously approved, excuse me, but also trainers that can come in and say, this is the class that's approved by the state of Colorado and under the laws of the state of Colorado. That would be my only amendment, that it wouldn't have to be just pre-approved trainers, that we would just allow people to come in and say, this is the training program that I do, and be able to present that to the board. So we can see what kind of training is happening. Case by case specific, as I said earlier, would be my only addendum to that. I'll leave that to the board.
Can I please make one suggestion to the chair? And that is that that the authority break this up into 2 parts. If there is going to be a motion, I suggest the first motion be that you move that there are reasonable grounds to believe that there is an issue that public health, safety, or welfare requires emergency action because of X. Once you make that finding, then you can discuss what that's going to look like.
Great, so Member Califano would make a motion that there is evidence for a public health concern regarding training of new employees for licensees for safe and responsible service of alcohol that has been brought on by changes in policy by the state that is impeding this training to be reasonably conducted in a reasonable amount of time.
Member Absalom would second that motion.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Carl abstain.
Member Roberts, aye.
All right, so that has passed. Now, discussion for what we would do under these emergency orders. And I would make a motion to put a timeline of 3 months after this is approved, because Roberto, we're gonna have to have the approval hearing next month, correct?
Correct.
Great. So if this is approved next month, it would be a 3-month suspension of our rules and allowing I know, Mike, you changed this, but allowing previously approved responsible service trainers to still be allowed to conduct those trainings. And yeah, that would be my motion.
Yeah, with that motion, like I said, what I would ask is that when we say what trainers we will accept, my only addition to that motion would say, I would like to have an opportunity to speak to the trainer if a licensee were to be presented before the board. Is that reasonable, Roberto, to ask that?
You guys are the deciders of reasonableness.
I
Okay.
have a question regarding that. Would that be for every show cause, new license, and license renewal agenda items?
Yeah, any type of licensing issue that requires proof of training, I would like to understand who the trainer is if we are going to suspend our rules. That's my only thing about it, Matt. We can say previously approved trainers, but do we have a list of those? The rules kind of gets a little weird. So what I'm saying to other members of the authority is when we have a requisite to say who is training, the
Right.
trainer should be able to present the training materials that they've presented to the licensee applying. That's my suggestion to, instead of saying, oh, previously, and I like that, and I respect that, but I'm saying if anyone's doing training in our community, I think that now that we've suspended this rule around what we already have approved in our rules, let's say I'd like to speak to the trainer about what's happening in the training. That's all. That was my suggestion. And I don't know how to really put that into a motion. Again, I defer to the other members of the authority on how they would like to proceed.
Does anybody have any comments?
Just member Haggerty. Yeah, I think member Epsilon, that's a super valid point. My only question would be, would that be communicated to the applicants? Or just making sure that, when they do appear, that they know ahead of time that, we'll be asking for this, right? So that's the only thing that I want to be, cognizant of. But other than that, I think it's good.
Well, it makes sense around the rules. If you look at the rules, we have these specific rules. So licensees should have the opportunity to know what we're actually asking of them.
Right.
And I agree with that. I'm not sure the answer to that. I know trusted vendor, I know trusted training. I know so many amazing trainers in this community that I've been through for many years, and I respect what it goes through, what trainers go through to do this. And it's a huge responsibility in our community. But now if we suspend the rules around what we've already put into it, we want to make sure that we're transparent. And whatever we decide today, I believe this is true, will be produced to the public. And maybe licensing could also help us out with discussing that with licensees.
Was just gonna chime in here. Would it be helpful to understand how we check training as a requirement for all of the applications that you guys don't see? So basically, most of the time we're checking our training requirement when it comes to renewals, and you obviously don't see the vast majority of renewals because not very many of them go to hearing. So the licensees are responsible for submitting their training documents to us with their renewals annually. And at that time is where we check if the training is compliant in all aspects. So if they have every person that they list as a person who sells or serves alcohol, if they have their appropriate training, and if that trainer is certified, state certified, and if that trainer and if the training was done in person, which is also a part of the rules. So that's how we check that. So we check that with their annual renewals. If it's a transfer, like an administrative transfer that you guys don't see, then it's essentially the same process. Those would really be the only applications that are processed administratively that require training. Sometimes someone might submit training for like something like a manager registration or something, but it's not required. So that's how we check everything that comes in that is processed administratively and not put in front of you. So the only applications that you would see that would go in front of you would be new modifications and your renewal hearings, and then any show causes and stuff like that. So the vast majority of renewals you wouldn't see. And let me know if you have any questions.
Are you verifying the trainer based on like the card?
Yeah, so they're required to actually submit their like tips cards. And really, unless I mean, I would imagine that there's some times when maybe like the actual trainer isn't mentioned on there, but if the training is still in compliance, then we would accept that. So all of the licensees are aware, based on the rules that they have to be state certified trainers at this time. That's part of their renewal, like paperwork that they get annually.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, someone from the board or Caitlin, um, if the state hasn't certified them as a certified trainer, they're not going to be getting the cards. So we're gonna just have to be taking them on good faith.
Well, I
That is,
think there's, oh,
yeah,
excuse me, I had to interrupt. I think one of the issues that we've actually heard from Nathan Dewey in the past, and members of the can remember it when we were working with tips, they were not able to get the cards back. They went to a virtual situation. So I think the problem now is that we're not the certification process, Matt, is just getting a little bit muddied and it's getting a little corporate. And to me, that's why my suggestion was let's talk to the trainer. If we need to see, like, I think licensing has every right to go through the rules based on what we have right now. But if we have to go to show calls or we do have to see proof of training, I would personally like to speak to the trainer about what's going on. And that's all I'm saying, as if we're going to suspend these rules and these specific training programs, we should have an opportunity to understand for the community how people are being trained. And that was the point I was getting at. I just don't know. I don't know how to get there. I know this is a lot of red tape stuff with the state, and it's a bummer that we can't just go by the rules, the letter of the law on this, but it seems that we can't, because we can't go off of our list anymore because the corporations that are running these things cannot send those certifications in a timely manner to licensing. So we can't even see them. So how else can we prove that someone was trained other than speaking to the trainer themselves or just getting an email from the trainer for that matter? That's just my 1-2 on that.
So I think that may put a lot of work on the city in terms of when they notify these establishments that they have a show cause or that they need to appear before the board for whatever reason. We're gonna have to change that we're requiring that whoever trained their employees be present. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, just like we ask anyone who petitions a community about needs and desires, we ask for them to be present. I think it's very similar in that sense. And again, I don't want to put that onus on anyone. I think this is a very unique situation. We had rules set up based on certain systems that were working. They're not working right now. And operators need to get this sort of training happening, which is so essential to our community and what we do as an authority. So I'm kind of just throwing it out there. I'm trying to come up with ideas, Matt. I don't know what to say right now because we suspend the rules and then what do we do about who gets accepted through? And I don't want to make any work for the city. They do great work for us. So thank you, Caitlin, for everything you do. I'm just saying, I don't know the answer. I just want to have some more insight from other members of the authority to understand that we can't go off a list of trainers right now to accept training because they're not getting certifications even emailed to them. So at that point, what do we do as an authority to ensure that the people of our community who are serving alcohol are getting proper training? That's a question I'm asking to you. My suggestion was maybe speak to a trainer. If we do have to prove training, that was my suggestion. I don't have the answer. I just want to have a discussion about it.
Real quick, I had a motion on the table. Was there a second for that motion by any chance? Not seeing it. Oh, go
I-
ahead.
Could you repeat it?
Yeah, my motion was just that we put with the 3-month, if it's approved, the 3-month suspension on our rules that we allow previously certified trainers to continue their training of employees. But yeah, was there a second for that at all?
I just have
Member
one
Hassel,
clarifying question, or do I need to second it and then I can ask? I guess
would
my,
ask the
Mhm.
question first, yeah.
Okay, so my clarifying question is, we're saying previously approved trainers. Is that like here in the city of Boulder? Because, where Mandy might, like, does she fall into that category for us, for these rules, is what I'm trying to understand. Like, pre-approved from what county? Like, how does that work?
I would just say if they were previously certified to administer the in-person tips training.
Then I will second
These-
your motion.
well, just to be clear, based on the programs that were certified through the state, right? In terms of, and our rules, TIPS and Serve Safe were on our rules, right?
Correct.
Or on our,
Correct.
okay, so I just would like to clarify that, to make sure that's clear. If we were going to accept these trainings in the emergency period, whatever was accepted previous to the new rule in the state.
So member Califano would change his motion to say that whatever trainers were certified to give Colorado state approved trainings previously would still be allowed to in this 3-month period. Is there a second to this amended motion?
Member Absalom, second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
I was gonna abstain.
Member Roberts, aye.
All right, so we will vote on this at the next hearing in February.
And then, Roberto, if I can just clarify for the record, so the next hearing, because we made this motion, the next hearing, we will schedule a public hearing for this item. Okay,
Yeah, so that the public has an opportunity to be heard and speaking for or against the proposition.
perfect. Thank you. All right, is there anything else for agenda item 3 matters from Responsible Association of Retailers? All right, I will move on to agenda item 4, which is general public comments for future beverage licensing authority hearings. If anyone who is present at this hearing has would like to give public comment on something that is not included on the agenda, please go ahead and raise your hand. If you're calling in, I believe you can click *3 and that will raise your hand. I'm seeing none. So I will move on to agenda item 5, which is public hearing and consideration of a renewal application filed on November 8th, 2024 from Sherpa Holdings 2015 LLC, DBA Fuji Restaurant and Bar, 2018 Broadway, Boulder, Colorado 80302. Pema D. Sherpa, 100% owner and registered manager with a premise business mailing address for a hotel restaurant type liquor license. If you're here to speak on this matter, please go ahead and raise your hand and I will let you in. I see Mr. Sherpa's here. Perfect. And while Mr. Sherpa is admitted into the panelists' view, I will let the board know that this application is approved by sales tax and occupation tax at this time.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Mr. Sherpa, will anyone else be appearing with you today?
No, it's just me.
Okay, great. I'm just gonna go ahead and swear you in, and then I will hand it over to the board. If you'll just say your name and spell your name for the record and give an address.
Cool, yeah. First name is Pemba, Pemba. Last name is Sherpa, Sherpa. And the business address is 2018 Broadway, Boulder.
Thank you so much. And if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to give before the Beverage Licensing Authority are true and correct?
Yes, correct.
And do you swear or affirm that this premise has been posted for at least 10 days prior to today's hearing?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'll hand it over to the board.
Cool.
Great. Mr. Sherpa, since you're not represented by counsel today, I'm going to go ahead and read the proceedings into the record.
Okay.
This is a public hearing before the Beverage Licensing Authority of the City of Boulder to determine whether or not the application of Sherpa Holdings LLC doing business as Fuji Restaurant for a renewal of a hotel restaurant type liquor license shall be granted or denied. This hearing is conducted pursuant to the laws of the state of Colorado and the rules of the Beverage Licensing Authority of the City of Boulder. The purpose of this hearing is to receive information, data, and testimony by interested parties in order to enable this authority to make the findings and to reach the conclusions required to be made by state law as to whether or not the license shall be renewed. Interested parties are the applicant, residents of the neighborhood affected by the licensee as previously determined by the authority, and owners and managers of a business located within the neighborhood. This hearing shall be limited to the question of whether or not there is good cause not to renew the license as set forth in the notice hearing dated January 15th, 2015. A record is being made of these proceedings. Those who desire to be heard shall identify themselves by stating their name, spelling their last name, and stating their pertinent address. They shall also be sworn in by the board secretary. Is there any conflict of interest or ex parte communication from any of the board members? Member Califano, no.
Member Absalom, no.
Member Carr, no.
Member Haggerty, no.
Member Roberts, no.
Great. And is there anyone in the attendees list that wishes to speak to this agenda item? If you could please raise your hand. Not seeing any. All right, Mr. Sherpa, you may proceed.
Yes. Yeah, so I failed to apply for a renewal of the liquor license on the day I was supposed to, because with my newborn baby, I just have too much work here and there, with growing up family and then working, and then so I missed up the deadline, but I was fortunate enough to remember and then apply again. So yep, here I am.
Great. Thank you for that. Are there any questions from the board? I guess my only question is what have you put in place since then to prevent this from happening in the future?
So I have my accountant who does my sales tax filing and does bookkeeping. Asked him to do the renewal moving forward. So so I don't forget it.
Great. Thank you for that. Are there any other questions from the board? Not seeing any. All right, Mr. Sherpa, is there anything else you'd like to present to us?
No, that's it. But yeah, if you guys can approve it, and I'll make sure that this doesn't happen again. But yeah, thank you guys.
Right at this time, we will close for deliberation. Is there a motion?
Member Carr will make a motion to approve the renewal.
Member
Member
Roberts.
Absalom would second. Member Roberts, you go ahead.
Member Roberts will second the motion to approve.
Great. All in favor, say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
All right, renewal approved. Thank you, Mr. Sherpa.
Well, thanks so much, guys. You guys have a good one. Thank you.
Caitlin, did you want to jump back to agenda item what was it, 2B or 2A, approval of the minutes?
I was just gonna tackle that at the end, if that's okay.
Perfect, works for me.
And yes, I'm so sorry. I didn't put this on the record because you guys were in the middle of your discussion, but member Carr is here and did join at 3:27. So. All right, we will move on to, actually, let me get everyone where they're supposed to be real quick.
Excuse me, am I set to leave or?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, thank you.
Perfect. We will move on to agenda item 6, which is public hearing and consideration of an application filed on October 30th, 2024 from El Taco Imperial de Tlaxcala LLC, DBA El Taco Imperial de Tlaxcala, 2850 Iris Avenue, Suite H, Boulder, Colorado, 80301. Margarita Valle Castron, 100% owner, sole member, and registered manager with the premises business mailing address for a new hotel restaurant type liquor license. If you are here to speak on this matter, please go ahead and raise your hand and I will let you in. I see there are some phone call listeners. I believe you can click *3 to raise your hand. I'm not seeing any hand raised. If you're here to speak on agenda item 6, which is a new hotel restaurant for El Taco Imperial de Tlaxcala, please raise your hand so I can let you in. I see that there is someone named Margarita in the attendees. If you are here to speak on this matter, can you raise your hand or I can. I'm gonna check in with some of the attendees here. I'm just gonna ask some of the attendees to unmute here to see if they are here to talk on this matter. So if you are phone number ending in 2258, if you can unmute and just confirm whether or not you're here to speak on this matter. And then I'm also gonna ask phone number 9291 to unmute and confirm if you're here to speak on this matter or a different matter. I'm not hearing anything from anyone.
My mom's the one who owns the restaurant, but I'm not sure if she's still on the call, and I was supposed to help translate in case she needed translating.
Okay. Great. So I see there's a Vanessa that's on the call. Is that someone who is gonna be?
That's me, actually. I'm not sure if I don't know why I'm still joined. I was on the phone.
Okay. So you don't have camera capability. Oh, that one went away. Is there camera capabilities?
Yes. Let me try and rejoin.
Okay. Okay, so I see there's a Margarita and that person would like to speak. Is that true?
Yes, that should be my mom.
Okay, here we go. Now we have a hand raised. Okay, it's gonna prompt you to join as a panelist. And you'll just want to accept that.
Okay.
Okay, great. And I see that Margarita has been entered into the panelist view. So if you could turn your camera on and unmute yourself.
Hello?
Hi
Can you-
there. We can hear you. Can you turn your camera on by chance?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Hi, Margarita.
Hi, this is Margarita Castrejon.
And Margarita, is anyone else going to be appearing with you today?
It's my daughter. It's on the phone.
Okay. And it sounds like your daughter would be possibly doing interpreting if needed.
Yeah.
Okay. Is your daughter a certified interpreter?
No, no.
Okay. So for these purposes, we can only accept certified interpreters in the hearing.
Okay.
So what we can do is we can proceed, and then if at any time you feel like you do want to request an interpreter, then we can talk about that at that time.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah. I can speak a little bit English, so I hope you can understand.
Yeah, no, you're doing great. We'll understand. Okay. If you will just say your name and spell your name for the record.
Okay. My name is Margarita Castrejon, Margarita Castrejon.
Thank you. And your address?
2850 Iris Avenue, Suite H.
Perfect. And that's in Boulder, Colorado?
Yes.
Awesome. If you will go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to give are true and correct?
Yes.
And do you swear or affirm that the premises has been posted for 10 days prior to today's hearing?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I will hand it over to the board.
Great. And since you're not represented by counsel or an attorney, I'm going to go ahead and read the rules of proceedings into the record.
Okay.
This is a public hearing before the Beverage Licensing Authority of the City of Boulder to determine whether or not the application of El Taco Imperial LLC doing business as El Taco Imperial for a renewal of not a renewal, for a new hotel restaurant type liquor license shall be granted or denied. This hearing is conducted pursuant to the laws of the state of Colorado and the rules of the Beverage Licensing Authority of the City of Boulder. The purpose of this hearing is to receive information, data, and testimony by interested parties in order to enable this authority to make the findings and to reach the conclusions required to be made by state law as to whether or not the license applied for shall issue. Interested parties are the applicant, residents of the neighborhood under consideration, and the owners and managers of a business located in the neighborhood under consideration. For purposes of determining who is an interested party at this hearing, the neighborhood under consideration is the neighborhood previously defined by the authority. The authority shall make a final determination of the affected neighborhood prior to determining whether the license shall be issued. Any interested party may speak to the question of neighborhood designation as well as other information relevant to the granting or denial of the application. A record is being made of these proceedings. Those who desire to be heard shall identify themselves by stating their name, spelling their last name, and stating their pertinent address. They shall also be sworn in by our board secretary. Is there any conflict of interest or ex parte communication from any of the board members? Member Califano, no.
Member Absalom, no. Member Carr, no.
Member Haggerty, no.
Member Roberts, no.
Great. And is there anyone in the attendees that wishes to speak to this agenda item? If you could please raise your hand. Don't believe we're seeing any. All right, Margarita, are you ready to proceed?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, I just applied for the liquor license because I have a Mexican restaurant and I have a couple customers. They ask for like margaritas or beer. So we have like a lot of customers ask for the liquor. And when I collect the signatures, like all the people, the one we ask for the signatures, they all happy to see if I can have liquor in the restaurant. So it's why I apply for that, and this way my increment my sales too. And I have it's a Mexican restaurant, so we just want to start with beer and margaritas for the customers because sometimes they came and eat and they ask for like cup of beers or margaritas. So it's why apply for the liquor license.
Great, thank you for that. Is there any question from the board members?
Hey, Margarita, could you talk to us a little bit about your training policies for
Yeah,
around alcohol sales for your employees?
Yeah, I try to get like get my employees but I try to find someone can give me like me and my employees like training for the liquor sales. But I just working on the to get that training for me and my employees.
So you're looking for someone to do training?
Yeah. I just want to wait until I can get to see if you can approve the license so I can get like me and my employees get all together, get the training.
I don't believe you have to be approved in order to do the training. Maybe we can. I don't know. Is that accurate? No?
No, typically we do like to see training done prior to approving an application, or in the works. But right now it seems that there's been no training, is that correct?
That was my understanding, and that's why I was trying to confirm if and inform that training can and should be taking place already.
Yeah, I just have a couple I know like a little bit about the alcohol because I have a friend, she have a restaurant. So I know like a little bit to how can I sell the alcohol. And I have like 4 years on the restaurant, working on the restaurant. So I have like little bit experience.
This is member Absalom here. Margarita?
Uh-huh.
Hey, sorry, Mike. I just wanted to ask you, you're in the same space that was in a restaurant that existed already, right? The same restaurant
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah.
So when you took over the restaurant, did you have a discussion with the previous owners about how they operated the liquor license?
No, no, I never the owners, the one is, I think, the last one is cilantros, I believe. But
I'm not sure. I just know the license. I know that that exact space that you're in has already been licensed for alcohol service.
yeah,
I'm wondering when you took over the space, es posible you talk to them about how they run their operation, how they run alcohol, serve margaritas and beer. Have you spoken to anyone about that?
no, 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 I don't know the people, the one is, because when when I get the restaurant, is no one, the space is empty. Yeah, I don't know who is the people, the one, work the restaurant or anything.
Oh, I see. There's another restaurant in that complex there. I'm just looking at
Yeah, yeah,
the address.
it's a different restaurant.
Well, Margarita, we need to have some more training here around. I see your alcohol policy, but a plan for training is what I think Member Roberts is looking for here. Um,
Oh,
what do you have a plan on how you're going to train your employees around alcohol service?
yeah, I just try to find someone, but I just wanna wait and make sure until I see if I can get the license so I can get the training for my employees.
I think we need to see some training before that, a plan for training before you get your license. So the idea is that you think about how you're going to train. I see it in your application how many employees you plan on having. You're able to train those people before you apply to serve alcohol because you want to have this community needs responsible training. So
Yeah, one of my employees, I don't think she had the training, but she know more about me. And she told me like a little bit about how she can serve because she's working before on the it's like bartender, so she know more. So she's the one try to help me to how can I serve the alcohol. But I try to training my employees too.
So your person that has worked in bartending, maybe you can have her help you come up with more of an idea of what training looks like here with the rules in the city of Boulder and have her help you train and build a culture around responsible alcohol service before we move on this. I would just suggest you think about that and think about training before we move forward. I have no other questions.
Okay.
RAR, who's here, Responsible Association of Retailers, is an excellent resource for you, Margarita, that you can use and they can help you put together that training as well as your training policy. Your policy looks a little light in terms of alcohol service. I think it could be more robust. It could be more inclusive of several things, specifically specific signs of intoxication, things like that, so people know what they're looking for. But I would highly suggest getting in touch with the Responsible Association of Retailers. And we can get someone here to give you that contact information as well.
Okay.
But they can help you put together that and make it more robust and then have a plan in place for training your staff.
Okay.
Are there any other questions from the board?
Yes, I have a question here. So Margarita, I'm looking here at number 4 on the application, and it says, have you applied for an occupation load from
the Boulder Fire Department. And it says you have not yet. So are you planning to do that for safety reasons, or what is the just plan there?
I don't understand. Planning the
Um, on your application, there's a question, number 4. It says, have you applied for an occupation load for the interior and exterior space from the Boulder Fire Department? And the answer that was written there says, we have not. So I'm just curious if you've done that since, or if you plan to apply for that occupation load from the Boulder Fire Department.
I think in the application I put like inside and outside.
Yeah, I do see a seating capacity, 50 inside, 24 outside. Did
Yeah.
did the fire marshal have to come out and look at your space? How did you get to that capacity?
Like outside is like for 24 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get to that number?
Because when I have like couple tables outside. So, but like in this time, we only use that once inside. But the one outside, I just count because I have a couple tables, so it's why I count 24 people.
Okay. And you did the same for the inside also?
Yeah. Yeah, I have the tables, so each table have like 4 chairs and 6 chairs. So it's why I make up 50.
Okay. This is a question, I guess, for Caitlin then. Do they have all the necessary approvals to operate? I'm not sure if that's a requirement from the Boulder Fire Department first.
Yes, so that question was probably honestly an oversight on my part when I was reviewing the application, because applicants are required to go through zoning before they even can submit their application for their new license. So this application was approved by zoning, and that occupancy and all of that comes from zoning, which I would imagine includes, and I don't, unfortunately, city licensing doesn't know a ton about the zoning process, but I would imagine that their occupancy and all of that is based on whatever's in code and all of that. So as far as what their occupancy is, that is approved by zoning. That is has already been through that process. But that's a great question, and I will get that corrected before we submit for final approval.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? All right, not seeing any. Margarita, is there anything else that you wanted to present to us today?
No, I just want to know if you can, like, you guys approve the license, and I can have time to find the training for my employees.
Okay, but there was nothing else you wanted to present to us?
No, I just wants to let you know, like, when I get the signature, so everybody wants to get like couple beers, so come and meet, and so, and I think it's all.
Great. So at this point, we will close for deliberation. Is there a motion?
This is Member Absalom speaking. I would make a motion to approve the license, but pending proof of training. I don't know how we would make amendment to that motion. Maybe Roberto can help me, but maybe some other members of the authority could chime in. I think The only thing that is holding me back from saying yes to this approval is there's no proof of training or a plan to do so. So
Member Epsilon, what would that proof of training look like and to whom? That is to say, a document, and would that go to licensing? And then they,
I would say I would make a motion to approve this license pending a before our hearing next month, proof of training coming up. So it would
oh,
be,
so you're saying that she would have to wait and then come back for another hearing?
I'm saying that she could have, I'm saying that I would approve the license and then pending proof of training to continue to have that license is what I'm saying. I don't know if that works legally, but I'm not.
Well, I'm just trying to clarify so that the other
I'm
members of
saying
the authority could
I would
vote.
approve the license to get the thing to get the business started, and then we would need to see proof of training come the February hearing. Is what I'm saying. Uh, Does that not make sense?
Member Epsilon would be a
Yeah,
conditional approval, I guess you're saying.
Be a,
yeah, and
be a
you've done
conditional,
that
a
before.
conditional, yes.
You've done that before, and you had the applicant return because you wanted to see. I don't remember what the specifics were, but you've done this before. Do you
Yes,
remember that?
I do, and I think I would recall that and do the same thing. I'd like to see this applicant will become a licensee, but will have to appear before the Beverages License Authority in February to prove training, prove what Chair Califano said around expanding. You know, I would add that to the motion, but I defer to the authority here on that. That's where I'm thinking.
Yep.
Does
Member,
that make
oh,
okay? Yeah.
so I believe we did a continuance with that applicant. And so we did not approve it, but we did do a continuance. And then when he came back, he had kind of his ducks in a row. I believe that's what you're referring to.
Okay, so then it wouldn't actually be an approval with conditions. It would be a denial of that, and then we would come
But
back.
come back. Mhm.
Yeah. I defer to the authority, other members. What do you guys think?
I don't think it would necessarily be a denial. I think it would just be a continuance to next month for reconsideration based on proof of or a plan in place of training. And for consistency purposes with what we did with the last instance that this happened, I would make a motion to continue this to next month with the licensee or the applicant rather coming before us with proof of training or a plan therein to have that training as well as a more robust alcohol service policy.
Member Absalom would second.
All in favor say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
All right, so Margarita, we didn't approve the license. We just continued this till next month, so you'll be required to come before us again next month with your application. And we are asking that you come with a plan in place for training your employees or proof of training that's been done in the next month and a more robust or more inclusive alcohol service policy for your employees. And again, I would just make a suggestion to contact RAR and they can really help you with that.
Okay, so it's no way can I get the license and you can guys give me time to training my employees?
So it actually works the other way around. You really should have your employees trained before you come before the board with the license. So that's kind of where this is leading. So we're not approving the license at this time, but we are going to reconsider next month when you come before the board again in that hearing.
Okay,
All right. Yeah, get in touch with them. They should be able to really help you out.
okay.
Margarita, I will send you an email with that contact information, and then I can also give you a call tomorrow to talk about the new dates for February.
Okay,
Cool.
okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Caitlin, I also wanted to call out that someone named AJ put a comment in that they said they would like to volunteer to help this applicant develop their policies and requirements. So perhaps, I'm not sure who AJ is, but you could help connect AJ with Margarita.
Yeah, anyone who is interested in that can send an email to licensing@bouldercolorado.gov. That's licensing online at bouldercolorado.gov. That email address can be found on our website as well, bouldercolorado.org. I'm sorry, .gov is our website. Thank you for seeing that. Okay, and then Margarita, that is it. So we're gonna move on. So I'm gonna move you back to the attendees, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Oh gosh, I moved member Carr back to the attendees. I apologize, member Carr. Okay, there we go. Okay, next we have agenda item 7, which is public hearing and consideration of an application filed on November 18th, 2024 from Nepal House LLC, DBA Nepal House and Cuisine, 4720 Table Mesa Drive, C100, Boulder, Colorado 80305. Topton Lama, 85% owner, president, and proposed registered manager, and Labchi Rai, vice president and 15% owner, with a premise business mailing address for a new hotel restaurant type liquor license. City licensing is requesting a continuance of this item due to no filed petitioning, and then there were a few other missing application documents. Kristen Teague is the licensing person on this application, but that is what she is requesting from the board.
All right, so member Califano would make a motion to continue this agenda item to next month based on incomplete application materials.
Member Carr would second that motion.
All in favor, say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Raslam, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to agenda item 8, matters from Deputy City Attorney.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nothing from me. Thank you. I do, however, have to log off here shortly. Are there any questions that you anticipated later on in this hearing? Does not appear so. All right, thank you so much.
Thanks, Roberto. Okay. I will move on to agenda item 9, which is matters from licensing clerk. We have 2 boundary settings. The first one is for Fergie's Indoor Golf Inc., DBA The Birdie Factory, 2520 Arapahoe Avenue, Boulder, Colorado 80302. This is for a new entertainment type liquor license. And I will share my screen so you can see the map here. Okay. I do have some suggested boundaries for this one, and this is the boundaries are from Flower Child, which is right here, right next to it. And those are Pearl on the north, Marine Extended on the south, 30th Street on the east, and 20th Street on the west. Here.
Member Absalom make a motion to approve the boundaries.
Member Haggerty, second.
All in favor, say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts, I.
Caitlin, what's going in there again?
It's called the Birdie Factory, and it's an entertainment type liquor license. Sabrina, this is actually her first full liquor license, so she's the owner of this one. I don't know too much about it because I haven't looked at the application really, but it sounds like it's kind of like games and a bar and that kind of stuff.
Interesting. All right.
Not to be uncouth here, do they call Member Haggerty the Birdie Factory when he's on the golf course? I'm not sure. No, I think they have a virtual golf thing going on there, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a virtual golf thing. Like Tiger Woods has this whole thing going on around virtual golf.
oh, interesting. All right, and then there's one more for boundary settings. This is for Mr. Oso Boulder LLC, DBA Mr. Oso Boulder, 1253 Pleasant Street, Unit 101, Boulder, Colorado 80302, for a new hotel restaurant type liquor license. And I took the suggested boundaries from this everyday store here, and that is Arapahoe on the north, Baseline on the south, 20th Street Extended on the east, and City Limits on the west.
Member Califano would move to approve.
Member Carl, second that approval. That motion.
All in favor, say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts, I.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Now we have no transfers for January, no breweries, wineries, or distilleries for January. You have your special event permits list that was approved in the last month, the liquor license renewal sent list. Board recruitment is closing soon, and then we will start the interviews on that. I don't have an application number, I believe. Let me just double check because I did get an email about this.
Yeah, and this is Member Absalom here. I know I agreed to stay in my seat until it was filled, but I was wondering what's going on with the application process. I know it ends the end of this month, right?
Yes, it does. And then we have some interviews in mid-February, it looks like. I haven't seen the applications. I'm not sure if Elisa has seen them yet, but I haven't seen the application, so I don't know how many, but we are have your seat up and Member Califano seat up. So we will miss you both
Huge
dearly
loss.
and would love if
Member
one of
Califano. Well, what my suggestion was around my own, well, Matthew has served way longer than I have, but I would love to. I'll connect with you, Caitlin, separately around like who's applying, just make sure that we don't have empty seats. I'm happy to continue to serve if that needs to be until we get some people in there. So
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I will let you all know at February hearing for sure what that looks like. Great. And then on that topic, I wanted to introduce you all to Elisa Darrow. She is our new licensing manager. So Kristen Changaris is leaving the city to spend time with her family. And so you probably won't see her again. She is working like very minimally part-time to get Elisa settled and trained and stuff like that. But she did tell me that she sends her regards and she loved working with you all and that she'll miss you dearly. And I want to introduce you to Elisa. Elisa, if you want to say anything, go for it.
Sure, thanks, Caitlin. Can everyone hear me? Great. Yeah, so like Caitlin said, Kristen has been so gracious to stay on and kind of let me pick her brain for the month of January and trying to soak up everything I can. Just so you know, I do have previous government experience. I've been working in government for 17 years. I previously was in the city clerk's office in Longmont, an assistant town manager. I was the deputy city clerk in Boulder for a while. And then I was the town clerk for the town of Berthoud. And I also spent some time at the state. really excited to be back in Boulder. It's an awesome organization, and I'm really excited to get to work with all of you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Elisa, does this say it is what it is behind you?
Yes.
Thank God. Thank God. Thank God.
I love it. Thanks, Elisa.
Thanks, Caitlin.
I will move on to agenda item 13, which is matters from chair and members of the authority. I'm going to scoot back up to the top of the meeting, and I am going to reopen up approval of beverage licensing authority minutes from December 18th, 2024, since member Carr is present now.
Member Carr will make a motion to approve those minutes.
Remember, I also only had one edit. It was at the end of it. When we made a motion to adjourn, it said 5-0 instead of 3-0. There was only 3 of us in attendance, so it was 3-0.
Thank you so much.
Minor adjustment, only thing I saw, but wanted to mention that. But I will second member Carr's motion with that adjustment.
All right. All in favor say aye. Member Califano will abstain.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts will abstain.
All right. Minutes approved.
Thank you so much. And then we had members Absalom and Carr have a presentation, it sounds like, a discussion for you all. And I believe, member Carr, I think I saw an email from you that you would like to present.
Yeah, we can present. We really just had a conversation that we wanted to bring up, and me and member Absalom have been talking about for the last couple months here. So just to kind of set the stage here, we had a public comment, I think it was back in August, from Mr. Durking, who is the owner of Hazel's Beverage World. And he had some concerns around allowing, grocery stores to move from, malt beverages to full strength alcohol. He cited, issues that are well documented within the state where independent liquor stores have been closing due to beer and wine being available within grocery stores. And, he had concerns around like the needs and desires petitions, how they're only done for changing storage and licensed premises and mostly for modifications, right? So his thought was, hey, he'd like us to be able to put forth to city council some suggestions on how to better, protect independent liquor stores, but also to protect against undue concentrations, and to ensure that we ensure that there aren't too many alcohol stores selling, full strength alcohol. Member Absalom, did I summarize that fairly?
Yeah, I was just checking some of our notes. I'm not sure if we added this document that we put together is this in the packet? Can other members see?
It's
this?
not. Do you want me to share the screen?
Yeah, we can share the screen. Or I just like for the other members of the authority to see this because we took this on as a community concern, and it's really interesting as you get into some of the thoughts around how jurisdictions can deal with this. And we had meetings with Roberto, we had meetings with Bruce, and we really wanted the whole strength of the authority to think about how this kind of works. Does everyone in the authority remember how we went from 3-2 alcohol to full strength beer and then from full strength beer to wine? I think member Chair Califano will remember mostly because we only saw modifications of how they put out specific. We didn't those actual transitions and license, like when it came to changing of licenses, we didn't see much of them unless it was a matter of changing the way that actual alcohol was stored or presented on the licensed premise. So I hope that Michael will be able to share this with you, but it's a really intriguing concept. I don't know how much legal power we have around this, but I did do a lot of research around it. The link here on the Montrose article was really intriguing to me. So hopefully we can share that with all the members. But the presentation around this is really, do we want to come up with what our message is as members of the licensing authority to city council about what could change on the state level in terms of how the law will change and people will large what do they call them, Mike? It's like a box, the
Formula.
technology.
I think they're called
Yeah,
formula stores. Yeah,
formula stores, right?
something like that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess the question will be like, how do we as an authority make a recommendation as a group to our city council and our city government as to how we think as stewards of responsible alcohol service in our community, how do we approach this? And Bruce from Hazel's has brought this up, and we wanted to present some of the stuff that we gave to you. So
Yeah.
love to hear from you guys about it. And thank you so much to Vice Chair Carr. He's been on it, and I've been doing some research on it. So I'd love to hear kind of maybe your thoughts as members of the authority of how this went. And the other thing is, how can we do it within the purview of the law?
And just want to add on to that. So I think there's two parts of this. One, which is how can we make suggestions to our city council and to what they are doing and lobbying for at the state level. That's one area, but also what can we do within our municipality. And so just as thinking about this, like what other municipalities have done, right? We know that there's a statewide requirement for between alcohol, retail alcohol stores of 1,500 feet. But in my research, I understand that doesn't apply to grocery stores. So, thinking about could we enact that as a council resolution within the city of Boulder, for example. Could we increase the space between schools and parks? Colorado Springs is 1,000, the state requires 500. Could we increase it to 1,000 feet or greater, right, to preserve quality of life in certain areas and neighborhoods? As far as I'm aware, we don't have a licensing cap, but a number of cities in the state of Colorado do. And some of the justifications for those that I read were, again, public safety, oversaturation of licenses, neighborhood impacts, and a balance between community well-being and availability of alcohol. So thinking about how we handle that. And then just kind of, finally around public input, that's required, right? That's required on a state level. But can we modify the questions that we ask on that question and answer form? What control do we have over that? And can we, make it more apparent and clear if it is a formula store that's applying for a liquor license, and much like there's like almost a blue book, there's the blue book when we have, voter, initiatives that we have to vote on. Can we put some sort of, statement or something on the question and answer form so that people who are signing this are fully aware of what they're signing on to? So those are just some of the areas and things that we had thought about, but really wanted to open this up to the rest of the authority again, and for one, understand, is this something the rest of the authority thinks that we should be taking up and we should be spending time on? And then two, if so, what should we be doing about that?
Member Haggerty, this is great. Thanks for putting this together, both of you. Great document. I would love to review it and then, maybe some action items, like what, as an authority, what can we come to the council with? Is it, recommendations on a few specific items? And essentially where can we take like a document like this, and how do we like fine tune it, and then how do we move it to the next stage? It would be my question. So I don't know what like next steps would be, like identifying a few areas we'd want to discuss further and then talk about presenting to the council, um or just kind of having this as a living document, or where we kind of see this exercise, how we see it kind of going forward would be a question of mine.
Well, I think one of the first things that we should probably understand is like, does the rest of the authority think that this is something that's salient to our job and something that we want to prioritize and even, think about putting forth to council. I think that's maybe where we want to start, because that's where, member Absalom and I took this on as like a subcommittee to do some research on it, really present what we've found and, our suggestions, to the rest of the authority. But, before we move forward, we want to make sure that everyone else is in alignment, that this is something we should focus on.
Yeah, and this is member Aslam here, just around the what the ask is or what the thing is. We have a citizen coming to our board asking about this, right? So I think when you think about it that way, you have someone who has presented public comment before our board, has submitted written comment to our board. I think there's an obligatory nature to this that we have to respond to it. The ask is to, and just to be clear, the ask is that the BLA bring something to city council about how we as a licensing authority around alcohol address the issues with changes in licensing. That's the ask from the citizen of our community. And that's all, to me. And, member Carr and I have been going back and forth around this about what it really means, but it really is. It's a citizen, a business owner coming to us. And if we can't address that, what are we doing anyway? So I'd like to hear from the rest of the authority, and not to diminish anyone else, but member Califano, the longstanding chair here. What do you think about this?
Well, one thing we need to consider is that none of this change would be retroactive. It would all be moving forward. And I'm pretty sure the majority of the establishments that had this change in license type administratively happen, it's already happened. So I don't know if putting in some new things, new requirements or restrictions, I'm just not sure how beneficial that would be. In addition, while we are saying that, yeah, we did have one person come before us and, ask this of us, there could be people out there that are for this, in grocery stores and establishments that had their license changed. So I would honestly, before we went before city council, I would kind of want some more public comment. And if we can get more on one side or the other, I think that gives us a direction that, our constituents want us to go in.
Yeah, that makes sense. And again, the concerned citizen is asking for a statement from the BLA to be presented to city council. That's why this document at the bottom says, what's the ask? All this is information. Like the ask of us is, what do we recommend as a group? And this law hasn't passed yet. So it's just one of those things where I agree with member Califano. I think this needs to be more of a public discussion. This is about our community, and we can talk about the laws in other jurisdictions all day, but this is Boulder and how the citizens of our community feel, and that's what we're here doing. But I'm sure member Carr can resonate on that.
Yeah, and just to clarify this, member Carafano, we're talking about a preempting of a potential change, where the state legislature would be able to change, grocery stores from able to sell malt beverages to full strength alcohol, right? So because right now they can't sell liquor, they can only sell beer and wine. And so this is a, preemption that this, member of the community has asked us to consider.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. I would still say that I would want more public opinion on this, from a more, rather than just one individual. I do understand this individual's concerns given the nature of the fact that they're in the industry. However, I would like to hear more from the public if they're for or against this change that could potentially be coming up. And go from there. I think that we just put it in a notification when it goes in the paper that this is what we're discussing. I don't know if there's maybe, RAR can get the word out too so that more people know about it. But Yeah, that's my recommendation is the next step is to put this on an agenda and have it as public input.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that we want more public input as well. Like we definitely want to hear from more liquor license establishments on, both sides of the issue.
So just a point of clarification, bringing this for public comment and specifically asking about some of the, under the what can be done sections, just opening that for feedback. Or like, are we kind of refining this more before we're opening it up for public feedback?
The way I see it, it would be that we wouldn't necessarily prescribe what could be done at this point. It would be more of a conversation around, does the community see this as an issue, generally? And, what are the views on both sides of this issue? For us to even decide whether we start to take any action to one way or another, right? And Member Absalom, the rest of the authority, do you disagree?
Yeah, I think Member Carr's making all the right points. It's like the ask here is to consider something that is already going through the Colorado Senate. I mean, I don't know how much experience you have with state legislatures, but bills are proposed very quickly. And, you know, to Chair Califano's point, yeah, we want to make sure that all the public has the opportunity to do that. That being said, there's public comment available to every single person, every single hearing. So if you have a concerned citizen coming out and saying these things, we have every, not just right, we have a responsibility to address these concerns because of what we are in our community. So that being said, I think we need to start to weigh all the things that are happening around this issue. And I really encourage you, and I don't know if this is okay, that we can share this document with everyone on the board. Just so everyone can see this document. It's a Google Doc, so everyone can share it, and nothing's pressing, it's just facts. It's just links to articles and some research that member Carr and I have done. But I think the real question is, the ask from the community member is, what do we think and what can we present to city council? I think Chair Califano says, let's get some more public comment. Let's go through the steps. We have the ask. Let's get the comments. Let's come together as a group and discuss it after we hear more from our community, because these are all municipal jurisdictions we're looking at in some of these. So I guess the question really is how we come to, as a group, what do we think about these comments? And I agree with Member Califano. Let's just get some more of the members of our community involved. That's where I stand. I would ask Member Roberts what her thoughts are.
I always love community feedback. Help make decisions.
So it sounds like, the authorities in alignment that we want to put this as an agenda item, and something for the community to discuss and bring their perspectives to us, and solicit feedback. So I will make a motion. Member Carl will make a motion that we put a public comment period on the agenda to discuss the potential of state legislature changing off-premise malt beverage to full-strength alcohol licenses, and how the community of Boulder should approach that change.
Is there a specific month that you would want that on?
Yeah, I would say let's do it sooner than later. Let's do it for February.
Member Absalom would second that for February. Circle back on this. And I'd also, if I can amend it, make sure that this document is available not only to members of the authority, to the public as well.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
Great. Caitlin, I will share this with you afterwards to make sure that you can distribute it as we talked via email. You can add as an exhibit to this packet.
Yep, that's no problem. So question for you guys, and Roberto is not here, so I can get his intake or his input on it if we need to, but would you be willing to accept like written public comment as well? So I could like send this, I'll let our licensees know that this is something that the BLA, I know that this is how CLAB has done it before, but I could let the licensees know that this is something that the BLA is going to discuss and that they can submit written public comment or they can come and give public comment. That's kind of been our process with these types of matters with CLAB. This is something that CLAB does a lot. So I was kind of thinking of just kind of mimicking how we do that. If you guys are okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. So I will work on sending something out to all of our licensees that this is something that you're going to discuss.
Thank you, Caitlin.
And that is it for our agenda.
Right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I don't want to make a motion. I will make a motion to adjourn, but I want to say one more thing. Sorry to hold you guys up one more minute. But I did want to go back to the training component that happened early on. And I think, thank you, Chair Califano, for guiding us through that. This is a hairy situation in our community, and I'm concerned about it in a lot of ways because we have these lists of trainers and all this. My ask of members of the authorities to think about this and do some research around what's happening in the community around you. And it's a nightmare for people to get trained. We have very stringent rules and very rightfully stringent rules in our community. But please look into this as a group because it's hard for this proof of training and the whole responsible vendor training thing at the state level. Have you gone to the state LED website? It's hard to navigate. It's not really well done. And I know there's a lot of stuff going on there. So my request of the authorities to please think about that and maybe do some research as this will be an issue moving forward for sure. And I appreciate all your time, but something that I'd like for you guys to think about as we go into next month. And that's it. And I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Member Carr will second that motion.
All in favor, say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
We are adjourned at 5:05 p.m.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Bye.